And Fabi has made a bad move, according to the eval bar. He played rook a d1 right here, right now, because he did not want to exchange queens. Bishop a6 was such a compelling threat after the move b6, and it's still a good move. And now your queen is trapped, so you have to do something about it. In this case, he has pushed his pawn to c4.
He had to block the diagonal, and he could have blocked the diagonal with his knight, which is a self-pin. We know grandmasters hate stepping into a pin, so he blocked with a c-pawn. But at the same time, now we've weakened the d4 square. Not happy about Fabi's moves here. It's not a harmony here. On the other hand, give the move knight e5 an opportunity to be played. If I can force the bishop to step back, I take it all back.
Okay, but knight b3 played, and now bishop b4 testing you again.
Bishop b4 is a test. I'd have to move the rook. No question about it. I'd have. And I'm still eyeballing knight e5.
You don't have to move the rook.
But
you could jump the knight back again, but then
you're kind of... I mean, all of this looks...
No, I don't like putting in the pin. But I'm just saying, for the moment, and by the way, both players have used about the same amount of time, both players having 8 minutes on their clocks. Knight b3, and again, I'm looking at knight e5.
There's bishop b4, quick slide of the rook over to f1.
That was an easy move, a happy move to make. Knight e5, dual purpose move. Gift me the pawn, let me play the move rook to d7.
But so now I think that c4 pawn is a real issue.
How? How so?
b5.
b5. Okay, b5, knight to e5.
Okay, that gets super sharp after the move
knight
b5.
Takes c6. Woof. b5. Well, that would be just ornery.
That's fire on the board. b5 is a serious move.
I think Magnus in the form he's in today,
he'd probably go for it because
he wants that fire.
Well, also, this isn't a position that you want to play passively. You play passively, white starts building up an initiative, and because of your structure, you might not be able to hold the ensuing, battle line that you've created. So a move like knight e5, b5.
It's black to move. So
yeah. So b5. Yeah, I would say that fits the needs of the position. You're required to play actively.
But also, I mean, I understand white has the structural edge, but black has the two bishops, and in particular, the light square bishop.
Right.
Right. And whenever you have this sort of imbalance, as the late great Jeremy Silman talks about in his book, Reassess Your Chess, when you have this kind of imbalance, you want to accentuate this imbalance. Your bishop on a6 is the key differentiator in the position if you're black. For white, it's the pawn structure. So the move b5 says, what I'm doing is I'm using the piece I have that you do not have. If you had a bishop you could put on d3, you could counter my energy. But my bishop is the core piece you cannot compete against. And so b5 just yells at you to be played, to keep that game sharp, open up the diagonal, and get it going. We'll see whether or not
this is a long enough think here, too.
By the way, this is a long think by Magnus. He started this think more or less with 8 minutes. I called it out just a moment ago. He's under 6, so he just burned 25% of his clock, and he recognizes this is a very, very big moment. But, by the way, if you don't play b5, addressing the move knight e5 by something like bishop d6, that's just not a move that it's not a good move.
Also, I'm feeling like white could play knight d4, knight b d4.
Also,
right, with the idea of playing b3 in case you do any kind of nonsense.
Which, by the way, would address that issue of the bishop.
Yes, completely. Knight d4 and put the knight on f5 with the idea of putting the knight on f5.
Right.
So that's another active plan in the position for white. White is aiming for something along these lines. There's the knight e5 jump. There's the knight b d4 jump. These are moves that he will have to consider in this position. So Magnus, deep in thought here.
My
I mean,
gosh,
he's just gone down 3.5 minutes.
Well, he's going to use, dare I say it, 50% of his clock. He's burned 25% of his clock already on this one move. Has our tournament leader, he's going to burn, if he goes down to 4 minutes, he'll have burned exactly half of his clock, James.
And Fabi not budging at all, not moving, just stone-faced, looking at the board.
Take all your time
Yes,
that
please.
you want.
I won't breathe at all. I won't disturb you.
Exactly.
Enjoy your analysis,
Cogitation,
please.
yes.
Yes.
Keep it up. Keep
It's
it up.
such a fascinating position,
Isn't
Magnus.
it?
Don't you think? Look at 3 or 4 more moves. There's such
Right.
depth in this
And
position for you to
Magnus
consider.
doesn't look like he's ready to move, and he's just burned through half of his time. This is maybe
Yeah, none
the
of the
longest.
typical Magnus indicators, the piece fiddle into placing it off to the side and then
Exactly.
the move to be made.
Honestly, he must be looking at something ultra sharp. I think he's looking at B5 because other moves come on much more naturally here. So why sit here forever? If your bishop, if knight E5 and I had to go bishop B7, for example.
That's terrible. You just allow rook D7. And
rook
no,
D7.
and he's played
Okay, so-
D5.
And
It took him
and it's
forever.
there. It took him a long time to establish that this is indeed the move he wanted to play because he knew it met the needs of the position. And 4.5 minutes spent on one move. Now, Fabi needs to find a way to fight back because that time is going to come back to haunt Magnus.
Well, is that the longest thing, James, of any of our competitors in any of our
If not,
days?
it's rivaling. It's rivaling. Because, again, that's about half of your
Half
initial
of the-
starting time.
Right, on one move. How does that not come back to bite you? Wow.
Hearing by far the longest
Okay,
thing for the
but-
entire tournament.
But he has managed his clock well up to this exact moment, and he is our tournament leader. But B5 does put a question to white. If you try to close this diagonal with the move C5, well, you just drop the pawn. Thank you very much. Knight takes C5. You can't close that diagonal. If you try to counterattack, knight to E5. Let me take the pawn on C4. If you take the pawn on C6, we get in a position after the move Queen E8. The knight is hanging, and this bishop is ready to aggress either by playing C4 takes B3 or C3. So now it's up to Fabi to deal with this breakthrough B5.
And I love the psychology of this moment. A lot of people, when they think playing quickly causes your opponent to be able to solve whatever it is you're going to do, look at all these possibilities, all right? And if you, I mean, what I mean to say is actually the opposite. If you take too long on a move, your opponent gets to look at a lot of possibilities.
Right.
But the truth is, when you look at a move for a position for a long time and come up with a strong move, you'll see your opponent burn clock too.
As a response.
Even if they were looking at your move, they're thinking, exactly what am I going to do about that? That's satisfactory. So finding the best move in the position, the most contentious, the most ordinary move, has forced Fabi, even if he noticed it, to stop, pause, and burn time. I would not be surprised if Fabi dipped below 5 minutes, even though he knows he wants to make a move right here, right now. Keep that time advantage. But I would not be surprised if he took time, and now he's going under 6 minutes, already spending time, because the move was so strong, and he knows, I can't go down now because I lose the tournament in one game.
This is it. This is the tournament, actually. And so let's imagine what are alternative plays now for Fabi.
So we've explored C5. We don't like it. We just give up the pawn.
Yeah.
Okay, so other options would be to get the queen off of that diagonal.
Yeah, queen to C2, but then we just take the pawn. Still feels a little bit iffy. We can use the other knight to jump to D4. You can take this pawn. Knight takes C6. In this case, I'm not obliged to play the move Queen E8 like in the previous variation. I can pop out to C5, and I think Magnus will be happy with the outcome of this line, even though we haven't won any material. It looks good.
We have 5 minutes now for Fabiano and dipping below.
As I said, that would not surprise me at all if he had gone under 5 minutes despite knowing he has such a massive advantage. And I'm going to go even further. He might even go under 4 minutes and match Magnus despite having that massive advantage on the clock. That move B5 played just is so volcanic. I mean, in its eruptive force, that this game right now is in the balance. Fabi needs to figure out exactly what plan will challenge Magnus. And by the way, Magnus looks like he's watching the World Series, or, the NBA game. He's just chilling. Could you give me some chips, please? I just played the move that challenged you, and there's a reason he sat and thought this long.
And guess what? As you're saying, Fabi's returning that favor with a counter long think. Wow.
So much so that Magnus is even looking over at
the other game.
Board,
yeah,
what's going on back over
there?
there?
It was just over 4.5-minute think there for Magnus to make the move, and Fabi just hit about the 4-minute mark himself for his response here. Let's go check in on that other board, as we do have the response.
Naturally.
It's D4, knight to D4, so now we are going to stick around because this is our fight for the top spot here.
And there was that move, knight to D4. Surprising for me, Magnus decided that he likes to trade the knights. I like that knight on E6. He did not capture. Just looking over there, just does feel like Gukesh with knight back to G3.
He was slightly better till a slight inaccuracy.
I see a bubble appeared, and okay. I'm focusing, if you don't mind, on the game between Magnus and Fabi at the moment. Captures on C4 has just been played. And it's another one of those bishops of opposite color. I seem to feel that we've been getting into a lot of bishops of opposite color positions.
Come on, forget that. You
No?
got to accept that you lost the pawn and start doing something on the other side of the board, from playing knight F5, queen G4, bishop H4, bishop E5. I just feel like you got to make a mess now of this position, because if you start thinking, let me get pawns, where do you end up? I mean, this just looks...
Well, the problem for me that I'm having is black structure is absolutely rock solid. There's no weaknesses. Imagining you put the knight on F5 and black just says queen E6, you go queen G4, I go G6, or queen G6, remembering that the bishop does patrol the E7. I don't see how he breaks through. Now, with this move, queen E3, check this out. This is an exchange sacrifice that I could probably get behind. Your next move is going to be knight takes C6 and or what you were saying, knight F5, queen C3. I like this. I think this is a great move by Fabi. Queen E3, getting off this diagonal.
Yeah, there's a flash in my mind. Yeah, so with the queen was on E2, I've played knight F5,
right,
and queen E6, rook D7, some kind of craziness. But
I follow
just
you.
in case you take, I have this queen G4 idea, and now mate threat, and whatever you do, I have your queen.
Whoop.
The problem, of course, is you could.
I don't have to take the rook.
You don't have to take the rook. Okay, but he's changed the
whole tune.
The angle of assault by putting his queen on E3.
Love this move.
And he still has this idea of the knight F5 move, the knight C6 move. You know, it's funny you said that black has no weaknesses in his position.
On the king side.
Right. People would stare and say, what are you talking about? Pawn, wait,
3 pawns.
He's got plenty of weaknesses. But great point. How do you get at the king? But just right now, those bishops for black, they're busy on the other side. Only the queen holds that side together. It's a heck of a piece. It's the one you want. But knight F5 and queen G5, if allowed, you start feeling some things. And now Magnus has brought his rook to address this pawn. Knight F5 is not good, I imagine?
Well, actually, if you didn't play that move, let me just play another poor move. What's a poor move? Apologies, just a very poor move. There was this idea that the bishop, if you take my queen, I'm taking your queen with check, and your queen can't defend the bishop. So there was this idea of A2, A3. Now, the reason why rook E8 addresses that threat by white is A3 is neutralized, because now we can drop back, and thanks to the fact that our queen is protected, knight takes C6 is no threat. Queen takes E4 is the threat.
Rook E1, if your bishop leaves the diagonal, I'm going to play rook E1, and I never have to worry about that, and you've got triple pawns.
I've got an extra pawn. Please, please.
I hear you.
I got an
I
extra
hear you.
pawn. I'll always
still,
have C4, C3.
That kind of semi-solves the worst of the worst. I think that's what Fabi's looking for. He just played A3.
And get my...
he played A3 following a rook E8. That was
and I think if he can get his rook back to E1, yes, you're up a pawn,
A3.
but it is those three not the most attractive pawns in the world. And look at this, C3 in response by Magnus. And he's saying, I don't want to see that position.
Bishop.
We've been told it's the best move on the board. He is saying, I'm keeping this busy. I want to somehow create more action. Forget about my weak triple pawns. How about this passed B pawn sitting in the heart of your camp? And that's a move that could win him this tournament.
What a move.
And now 2 minutes on the clock here for Fabiano to the 110 of Magnus Carlsen. But yeah, Magnus looking to lock it all up here and now.
Wow, C4, C3. Wow.
I feel he had to go for that knight F5 jump. I felt like that should have been done.
That was necessary.
Sooner. But now he is in crisis mode as those bishops. I was talking about keeping them out. They're fully in the game. They are the only things you can even think about.
Well, the real problem as I see it is that, okay, I take the pawn on C3. You take the pawn on A3. I move my rook, and now it's all about this A pawn. I don't like this for Fabi, but I don't see a choice. I hate the variation that we just looked at where Black ended up with this massive pawn on B2.
And there you have it. Under a minute now for Fabiano Caruana trying to find a resource here. Back against the wall against Magnus Carlsen, tournament leader.
This is his entire tournament, and look at Magnus just glanced over at the clock there and said, yes, got him on the clock too.
I spent 5 minutes on one move, and I'm ahead on the clock. Wow.
Incredible.
You spent 5 minutes on the right move.
And look at this. He took on B4, Fabi did. He said, I'm going to sacrifice an exchange. I'm not going to let that pawn go to B2. Good move by Fabi. C3. He's looking at knight takes C6, knight takes A5. He's also looking at, hey, that's a bishop.
Fabi holding on by his fingernails. Magnus needs to keep the pressure up, and it just seems like he has such a winning position here.
A winning position? Is it really? Why is it so winning?
Well, if you're not...
Bishop C4, knight takes C6, queen takes E5.
That move was a mistake. You should play bishop B5.
Yeah, B5. Protect the pawn that you wanted to attack.
Not give you
Why
anything.
didn't he protect the pawn?
That's a good question. We'll have to ask him later.
Yeah, just play the move. And now knight...
Whoa, look at
That's not
that.
the way I expected that
now
to
that's
happen.
cheeky. He's saying, I've got a fork on the C6 square. Don't think about playing rook takes A5 because of knight takes C6. But queen takes E4.
But the back rank, yes, there's a back rank issue. If rook takes A5, knight C6, queen D7, isn't that why?
Queen takes E4.
Yep, there it is.
Queen takes E4.
No, I was talking about for white. White couldn't take on C6 if we took on A5.
All right, well, queens are off the board. One more pawn did fall and defended, the A5 pawn in the process.
All right.
Magnus will bring over his rook
But
to
now,
the E8 square, now doubled on the E file.
Now that the bishop is patrolling A6, the pawn doesn't have that potency, and it's the back rank threats that are immediate. I mean, that's...
Sub 20 seconds now here for Fabiano.
I mean, if Fabi has to play F3 or F4, I don't like his chances of surviving this ending.
When you are down in exchange, like he is now, you want to keep rooks on the board.
Exactly.
White wants the rook to be on the board. To see this trade just take place,
Yeah, that's not nice.
This is a disastrous thing to happen, and now you have to start defending your position. There goes the C pawn.
And with 1/5 the amount of time that your opponent has.
And he better coordinate right here, right now, real quick, before some tactic occurs. But we can say there are some technical difficulties ahead for Black. Again, the wrong player you're playing against to talk about technical difficulties. But at least you could put a bishop on B6 and put and this pawn on G4, really important. Put the bishop on B6 and hope that he's not able to break your position down because, after all, as f6 gets played, after all, a bishop on b6, a knight on d4, it's a stable situation. And this is not totally easy to win. He's definitely better, but it's not. You can't take the a-pawn. You have trouble chasing the knight off of d4.
Well, in a sense, you've maximized your position as white. But I mean, it's a two-result game. The question is, can black put you in a zugzwang? Like, imagine this position, and I don't think it's actually that easy for black to do, but you've played the move g6. And the king has gone to d5. Now, that move was unexpected. I thought he was trying to hold.
Off.
Well, yes, and I thought he was trying to create a fortress with the pawn protected. But Fabi is, I'm not sure what Fabi is trying to create here, where he feels that this pawn is best placed, on f5, g5?
I felt so weakening.
Wow.
I mean, he's just pushing his pawns. If he could liquidate those pawns, but he can't.
One of the hardest things in chess is just to keep the position. Sometimes players just have this desire to
progress.
To be active. People, and he's dropped the pawn.
There it is.
Now
Pawn comes off the board.
should
He
be
is going to
winning.
go ahead and launch his a-pawn down.
And the rook will come back. Rooks belong behind pass pawns. His bishop is also patrolling the diagonal. Now
This
something
must be
like
lost.
king out of the way so you can play g5.
I mean, you can't push your pawn. The bishop and rook stop the
maxed.
a-pawn from going anywhere.
You maxed. Yeah.
And so all you can do is just sort of stay as stable as you can over there. And then Magnus just needs to get the g-pawn rolling. And you are not stopping that pawn.
Yeah.
I mean, your whole bishop and knight combo is meant to keep the pawn on a7 alive. But they're not meant to defend against this attack that's coming at you. G-pawn's rolling home. Magnus is going to seal this tournament with 2 rounds to spare with this victory.
Yes, he is. Today, it's definitely all Magnus.
Putting on a masterclass right
He
now.
truly is.
He's already got 9 points out of 9 points to his name on the day, looking to make it 12 of 12. And as Maurice said, that would lock it up. Top prize for Magnus Carlsen. Hikaru as well on the other board, about to take a victory over Gukesh, so at least 3 points added to his name. That might make the race for second place.
A little interesting.
Between him and Fabiano Caruana. Again, assuming the result here that it very much looks like we are destined to find.
King h4, king h3, that looks really strong. King g4, same idea. Bring the king to h3 so that the pawn can be pushed, supported by the king, supported by the rook, and there's just, frankly, there's just no really good moves anymore for Fabi.
The way Magnus is gaining a tempo each time
with
rook attacks the
rook
bishop.
a6,
And
rook
then-
f3,
yes.
yeah, and he's got the same position, only it's his move once more. And by the way, Hikaru won.
Did get that victory. 3 more points go to him. That'll move him up to about 12 points, though. So, again, just barely behind Fabiano Caruana and not picking up any points in this matchup here against Magnus.
Magnus has done beautiful work. He's brought his king to h3 so that he can just simply push the pawn, g4, g3, and Fabi is going to try his best. Put his knight on e2 and his knight on g1. I don't think he can hold.
That knight will be taken eventually by a rook on that square. And Magnus just put his bishop on a8 and said,
You
will
shall not
never."
pass.
Well, it's one of those, high class moves that blitz players know. They know that those knights can fork. Knight can go to c3 and hit the bishop. Magnus says, if I put my bishop as far out of danger as possible, you can never touch me.
Yep.
And that's very Karpovian, we would call those types of moves.
All right, the king is trying to go to b8 at least.
At least, yeah, well, I mean, for sure, dealing with the pawn on g1 and at least put the king on b8. That would be nice.
Oh, no, the knight
What?
has just gone up
What?
the board.
Ooh.
What?
It's headed for the bishop.
It's going for c7, yeah.
No,
Hit the bishop.
no.
But
But-
now at best you're trading the bishop off, and we still queen on the other side.
Well, no, we're going to go king g3, rook f2. We're not going to
No,
let you sacrifice.
But
Sorry.
What I'm saying is you can't even push your pawn to a8 anyway. The bishop was there, and now it's left. And
Right.
So you're still in the same boat. Here comes the knight. Back
Knight
again.
should be on g1. The king should be on b8 for Fabi. Rook attacks bishop.
Ready to take that bishop. And where do you hide it?
By the way,
Oh, no, you have no place. There's no place to put it. It's
if you-
dominated on the
if you-
square.
If you put it on b6, we've
Yeah,
got
it goes to g1, but
And
now
now
it's
rook
dead in
attacks,
the water.
and that's it. That's the end of the game. He's about to win that bishop straight. He could just promote.
Now we queen.
There's a queen. It must be taken. And there's some kind of dream of maybe getting at least the bishop for the
Nope.
pawn, but it's not going to work.
Nope.
Rook slides over.
You can't
check
even
on the
play
king.
king c7 because of rook b7. Now we can drive the
defended by the
king.
bishop.
We can drive the king away with the move bishop b7 check, or force it, pardon me, to drop back. Rook up. This is easy technical win for Magnus. Magnus again. You know, I'm not going to get forked by the knight. He's just ready to move his king, glide his king over to the queen side.
At best, you can play into what? King and rook against king.
I don't know what
Which
you
is
can.
still-
Yeah.
Which is still lost.
Oh, wait a minute. Queen? What? No, queen, rook check. Rook check on a1. If we make a queen,
4
I
seconds.
don't take it.
Knight
Okay.
b5. He's
King
still not
E5.
threatening to promote anything. Knight c3.
Rook check.
Fabi's showing some fight, but it's not going to be enough here.
Well, it's a rook. What can I say? It's a rook.
He knows he's moments away from resigning. He'd love to put his knight on b6 maybe and do something, but even that doesn't help because of a check. Here we go. Magnus just needs to bring his king closer because knight b6 doesn't do anything because of this rook move. And now king moves, and here comes the king one step closer,
To the a pawn.
and knight b6 will be met by king to c7, and you have no chance. And Magnus has just won the tournament.
Fabiano
Wow.
admits defeat, and an undefeated Magnus on day 3 of the tournament. He gets it done across 4 games. Doesn't even need the final 2 to take the top spot here at Clutch Chess Champion Showdown.
A performance for the ages.
He just
four
won
in a
four
row.
in a row.
Saving his best for last. World's
Came up
number
clutch on the final day. It's an aptly named tournament. I'll give you that one.
The guy's got the gene. And I'm not talking about the G-Star raw genes.
genes.
He's got the clutch gene in his system. He wanted to play good chess. That was what he was after, and he did that and then some today.
Day
Whatever.
1, day 2, frustration from our champion in not having the kind of control that he's used to on the 64-square board. But today, he has shown us why he is the world number 1. Your 2025 Clutch Chess Champion Showdown winner is none other than Magnus Carlsen, taking home $120,000 plus an absolute ton of bonus money. Not just for his decisive victories, he's taking every little bit of that champion's jackpot that was, fed into from the draws we've taken over the past 3 days.
You know,